Hello again there folks, Lone Adventurer here. Thank you very much for stumbling your way upon my channel and joining me for this adventure. Today I'm going to be playing through Dark Forest, which is a supplement or an alternate version of the classic Morkborg adjacent solo game Dark Fort. Before we get into it, can I ask you to consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the bell notification icon if you want to see more adventures just like this one. I post a lot of solo gaming content, so if that is your kind of thing, do consider subscribing to my channel so you can see more. Right, Dark Fort is a familiar game, or almost a genre in itself, for long-time viewers of the channel. I've played Dark Fort here on the Lone Adventurer channel. There'll be a link up in the corner of the screen right about now and in the description down below. I'll also include a link in the description down below to my top 10-ish solo micro dungeon crawling games video. I think that's what it's called. It includes Dark Fort and a number of Dark Fort adjacent games. I think I've got a playlist of Dark Fort style games as well, so I'll include that in the description down below. Now this is a physical copy of Dark Fort that I got. It's very cool. I didn't add these blue notes on. This is part of the document. So I got this when I bought Cult Ferretry, which is a Morkborg supplement. And when you buy this, you get a number of copies of Dark Fort, or you get one copy of Dark Fort and then a bunch of little game sheets for it, which is very cool. Now you can't just download Dark Fort on its own online. I don't know why they made that decision, maybe just to drive up sales of Cult Ferretry, but I know a lot of people want to get their hands on this and come to the realization that you can't just download it for a couple of dollars. You can get Cult Ferretry on Drive-Thru RPG as a digital download for $10. They do sales every now and then, which takes the price down a little bit, but $10 for Cult Ferretry is a good deal. I think Dark Fort is worth a couple of dollars, and this zine has just got so much cool stuff in it. I still haven't really given it the time that it deserves, to be perfectly honest, but there's a lot of stuff in here and some handy stuff for solo gamers, especially at the start here. We've got travelling around the dying lands, events that might happen on the road, foraging rules, things like that. And I mean, it's like a 60-page zine. It's beautifully laid out. It's got lots of cool stuff in. I think it's worth getting. It is easier to absorb, easier to read than the main Morkborg book. You can see the text is by and large quite normal and straightforward. So I'll include a link to Cult Ferretry down in the description below. And the main reason why I'm mentioning that is not just because Dark Forest is based on Dark Fort, it's that Dark Forest incorporates Dark Fort. So in Dark Forest you are taking your character, who is called Kargunt. I believe that's the same name as the character in Dark Fort. Of all the Dark Fort adjacent games I've covered, this one is the closest to Dark Fort. It's structurally virtually identical. It's just set in a forest and not a dungeon. And it also gives you opportunities to integrate Dark Fort. So as you are exploring a hex map in this game, if on 2d6 you roll a 2 or a 12, then you switch to Dark Fort and you explore an interior space for a set number of rooms, 3d6 rooms. So that's kind of cool, I think, that you integrate Dark Fort into your play of Dark Forest. Now I'm not sure we'll be doing that today. If we happen to roll a 2 or a 12, it probably won't happen, but if it does, I think we'll just carry on, or maybe we'll switch to Dark Fort for a little bit. We'll see how I feel. But today the focus is Dark Forest, and this is designed by a guy called Nick Waber, and it says here it is a wilderness hex crawl adaptation and tribute to Dark Fort by Pelle Nielsen. Grab 2d6 and a pencil and venture into the menacing darkness of the deep woods. So we're not going to spend too long looking at it before we get started. We're just going to create a character and get going, I think. But just to give you a sense of what we've got here, we've got two-sided piece of paper. We've got some character creation instructions along with scrolls and leveling up. And then on this side, we've got some encounter tables, some rules on camping and resupplying, combat details, weak monsters, tough monsters. And that is it. So it's very much in line with the minimalism of the original Dark Fort. You've just got a few monsters, a few items, and that is more or less it. So this is going to be a very simple playthrough, and this is a game designed really for people who are looking for a fairly relaxed and low brain power gaming experience, but with that sort of grungy Morkborg bleakness built into it. So let's do it, shall we? Let's create our character. You can see we've got our hex map here. Just going to move that over there for a second, and we'll pop that there. And let's see what we've got. Your name is still Cargant. You begin with 12 plus 1d6 hit points. 5, that's good news, isn't it? So that is 17 hit points, so I think that is our max as well. Doesn't say that, but I think that's the case. Maybe, who knows. Then we need 12 plus 1d6 silver pieces. 1, so less lucky there. I'm going to put a separate section over here for silver. We have got a section here for silver, but it's quite snug, and I'm lazy with my rubbing out. I like to just cross out and carry on playing. Then 12 plus 1d6 rations. 5, so that is 17 rations. I'm going to add a separate little rations section here as well. You can carry unlimited items. We need 1 weapon, so hopefully we'll get a good one. 3, a sling. Roll a d6, minus 1 damage, plus 2 rations on resupply. So it does less damage, but allows us to gain more rations on resupply. That's actually kind of cool. So we've got, in the Dark Fort tradition, you don't even have to write these things down. You've just got a tick box for things that you've got. So we will put a little cross in sling there, and hopefully remember that. And then we need 1 item. 5, some armour. Minus d6 damage for 2d6 fights. So that's 2 ways in which we are currently doing less damage. That doesn't feel good. Oh, that means I see, sorry. So we receive less damage on 2d6 fights. Okay. Got a bit confused there. That is that. We don't get a scroll by the looks of things. We've got some rules on levelling up, but we don't need to think about that yet. So we can turn over and we can make a start. Actually, I might just fold this into a little booklet like the original Dark Fort. Okay, this other version I've got here is slightly different, and it says first hex, drop a die on the map, your adventure begins. It doesn't say that on this one here, because I just downloaded an updated version. Yeah, it doesn't tell you where to start. I guess it doesn't matter too much. Let's say we are just starting on the edge here. That kind of makes sense. This is all the Dark Forest, that we would start on the edge. So we need to roll for terrain. I don't think this has any effect on the gameplay, although you could certainly sort of role play that in yourself, I suppose, if you wanted to. Just looking at Dark Fort, I was thinking this is kind of like the room shape almost, which has no effect. It's just for visual character. Yeah, so unless we roll a 2 or a 12 and go immediately into a dungeon situation, this doesn't really matter. 3. So that gives us a fetid pond. So I guess I could draw a little fetid pond. I've added a couple of little trees around there as well, since it is, after all, a forest. And with that done, we need to see whether we have an encounter. D6 roll. 1. Nothing of note. I'm trying to decide the order in which to do things, because we've got a hex exit direction, and then we've got camping and resupply. Maybe we should do camping first, kind of the end of the day, and then we'll move on next day and then decide the exit direction, although I'm a little confused by those rules. And it says here, first hex, 6 equals south. I don't really understand that. Not to worry though, we don't need to do any foraging because we've got plenty of rations. Every day with 0 rations we lose HP. You can only attempt camping or foraging once per hex. So I don't really feel the urge to do either of those things, to be honest. But there's no downside to foraging, so I guess we'll just forage and get some more rations, hopefully. So we're going to roll 1d6 for found mushrooms, gain 1d6 plus 1 rations. Oh wow, 7 rations. So we're up to 19 rations, and that's the end of the day. So now we need to work out where to go. Now the hex exit direction says 6 equals backtrack, which implies that you have to... Oh, okay. Maybe this is after the... Oh, I see. First hex 6 equals south. So on this occasion, 6 would be down here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this backtracking thing will occur on the next roll. So 1 would actually be off the map because I've put myself on the edge. So let's re-roll that. 3. Okay. So if 6 is down there, 1 is there, 2 is there, 3 is up here. So this is our next hex. Let's roll to see the terrain type. 10 gives us crags. So let's draw a couple of crags and then a couple of trees as well. That might be too small for you to see my tiny trees. What encounter are we having? 6. A gnomish tinkerer offers to trade items or weapons 1 to 1, items or weapons for scrolls 2 to 1, or buy-sell items, weapons for 10 silver, scrolls for 20. So we've got 12 silver, so we could buy an item, or we could swap our weapon out. Because at the moment, yes, the sling allows us to... what's the benefit of the sling? +2 rations on resupply. Well, we should have actually just got +2 rations. We don't need that at the moment. We've got loads of rations. So the sling has a negative damage. It does -1 damage. So I'm tempted to say we should sling the sling and switch it out for a normal sword. So we're going to switch the sling for a sword, which is d6 damage +1 to attack. That's pretty handy. Can we do multiple things? Oh no, it says or. Okay, so we can't do anything else, but I think that is worth it personally. Thank you very much, Gnomish Tinkerer. We don't need to rest because we've got plenty of health. So we can do the old foraging. 3. Found mushrooms, gain 1d6 rations. 5. +1, so another 6 rations. I mean, we've got 25 rations. But healing, I mean, when we have to start healing, I'm sure we'll start getting through those. But it's nice to have a great big pile. Following day, we need to decide where we're going to go. Right, so 6 is backtrack, so that would be going down to where we came from. And then 1 and 2 will be off the end of the map, so we'll be re-rolling that. So we're going for a 3, 4 or 5, hopefully. 6, so that is backtracking back to where we came from. Now that hex is explored, which I think means we don't need to roll for another encounter, so we can just camp again and do some more foraging. Feels very foragey. Maybe I should stop foraging. That's taking us up to 29 rations. Alright, and we're back in here. Roll for moving on. Okay, well that's back to where we came from again. So we're going back up to the craggy area. I guess we need to just roll to see how we're going to move on out of here. I'm going to stop rolling for rations for a moment. It's starting to get a bit silly. 3, that would be 1, 2. So back is up here again to the next area along the edge of the map. Before we do that, let me just highlight to you something I didn't do already, which is leveling up. When we are in combat, we'll gain points, and we level up each time we gain 15 points. I think that's the only time you get points. When you level up, we'll roll 1d6 and tick off one of these advantages. Now, there's no sort of mention of sort of winning the game, but in Dark Fort, we've got this little note down here, because Dark Fort has the same leveling up method with 6 ways that you can improve your character. And it says when every result on the list is scratched, you retire and remain in your cottage or castle until the 7th misery occurs. And everything you know blackens and burns. Congratulations. So I think we would theoretically treat this the same. If you leveled up 6 times and gained every single one of these advantages, you would consider the game won, as it were. Right, we need to work out what is in this location. Alright, there might be a little bit of a change in the lighting there since we've jumped forward in reality a couple of hours. I had to go do gardening, of all things. Not as fun as solo games. We've got a new hex. We're going to find out what our encounter is in it. 2, environmental hazard. Okay, something bad is going to happen. 1, 1 to 2, take d6 damage. Could have been worse, couldn't it? So, hit points. Again, I'm going to move that down here. We forgot to find out what the terrain was. 6 gives us a fen or bog. There we go. That's what a bog looks like. Do you want to camp? Do you want to resupply? I don't think we need to. We'll just push on. 1. That's no good. That's off the side of the map. We need a 3, a 4 or 5. Ideally a 4 or a 5. 4. Okay, finally moving away from the edge. So that is over here. Let's find out the terrain. 6 gives us some more boggy fen. We'll draw some puddles this time. What are we doing now? Encounter. 1, nothing of note. Not really monsters around here. We won't worry about foraging again, so we're just going to find out which way we're going to go. And so you remember, 6 is back the way you came. So here, 6 is back that way. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is over here. Let's see what terrain we've got going on. A 9, burnt land. So I guess that'll be like some stumps. Ooh, some little smoky trails coming off them. 4, a weak monster. Alright, so we've got our first monster. And what have we got here? D6 to find out. 5 gives us a spider swarm. 4 points, D6 damage, plus 1 damage per spider's HP over 5. That's how many HP they've got. Gains HP or restores 1 HP per round until killed. Okay. So the total HP, 1. 4 points. So how does it work? We roll the d6 against the monster's points. Let's just do it. 6. If d6 is greater than or equal to the monster's points, roll weapon damage. Or we don't need to do that because our weapon is going to do a minimum of 1 damage, and that is enough to kill the spiders. So we get XP, or points rather, equal to the points of the spiders. So we've gained ourselves 4 points. And we can carry on. 1 is going to be over here. So remember 6 is back that way. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 is over here. Terrain type is 11, a ravine. And are we going to have an encounter at the ravine? 5, a tough monster. So we're finally getting some beasties. 3 gives us a fungal zombie with 5 points. Okay, so let's have a go at it. 3, fungal zombie has 5 points. Now we do get +1 to attack with our sword, but that only takes us up to 4. Oh, and d6 HP, so we need to work out the HP of the enemy. But first they're doing us some damage. 1 minus 1 damage. So that is 0 damage. That's good news. Let's quickly work out the HP of the fungal zombie. It is 3. So just try and remember that. Let's have another round of combat. 2 plus 1 is 3. That's pretty rubbish. So that's 3 minus 1 damage. So we are taking some damage. 2 down to 14. Let's try again. 2. God damn. How much damage are we taking? 2, at least not much. 2 minus 1 damage, so only 1, down to 13. Come on now. 4 plus 1 is 5, which is equal to the carnivorous plant's points, which means we have defeated it. No, hang on, that means we can do damage, sorry. And we need to do 3 points of damage. And our sword does d6 damage. Here we go. 5. Excellent. So that's enough. That gets us 5 points, taking us up to 9. Remember, we level up at 15. Not bad. Let's push on. So we are at the ravine, I think. Is that right? Yeah. 1, that's back over this way. Find out what we've got here. 6, 7, 8. That gives us deep forest. So we finally got some trees. Well, I guess these all have trees around them, but this is more treey than the other locations. Mucho trees. Find out what encounter we're having here. 2 gives us an environmental hazard. 5, you survive the environmental hazard. Nothing bad happens. Now, at this point, I think we're ready to make camp. So when you make camp, you can heal. It costs 2 rations. You roll 1d6, and then we'll find out how much we are healing as a result. So 2 rations spent, taking us down to 27. Roll our d6. 4. So that means adequate resting. You can heal 1d6 HP. 6. So that's taking us, assuming 17 is our max, that's taking us back up to max. All right, let's push on. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's over this way. And what have we got here? What terrain? 6. Fen bog. There we go. Encounter. 1. Nothing happens. End of the day, we don't really need to do anything, I don't think. So we'll just move on. We are here. Find out the direction. 4. We came from there. No, we came from there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That is over here. And roll for terrain. 5. Another fenbog. There we go. What encounter are we going to have here? 4. That is a weak monster. 6. Roll twice. 2 weak monsters appear. Ooh. So we've got 2, and we've got 4. So we've got a bear, and we've got a bandit. Nice. So a bandit for a pet bear. So 2 monsters, attack, defend versus numeric list order. Tied, attack, defend versus higher HP. Okay, so I suppose they both attack me. I only get to attack 1. Does that make sense? Or do I get to attack both of them? It says attack, defend versus numeric list order, so I guess I get to do both. Well, you have to do both, don't you? Because, sorry, you only do one roll. You don't do an attack roll and defense roll. You do a combat roll. So we'll start with the bear. It's got d6 plus 2 HP. Maybe I'm going to need to make a note of this. I will just write it down here. So the bear has got d6 plus 2. So it's 3, so 5. The bandit has got d6 HP. 5 HP, so they've both got 5 HP. This could be a bit more of a battle here, but we'll get 7 points if we survive, which I think will take us up a level. So let's fight the bear first. 4 points. 3 plus 1 for the sword, so that is 4. We have successfully attacked the bear. We need to find out how much damage we're doing. 5. Fantastic. So the bear is dead. Onto the bandit. 4 plus 1 is 5, and the bandit has 3 points. So we've successfully hit the bandit as well. And we're doing 4 points of damage. Ooh. Yes, plus 1 to attack, isn't it? Not what, plus 1 to damage. So the bandit is down to 1. We need to attack again. 1, that is a fail. So we are taking d6 damage from the bandit. 1. Super duper lucky. So that's down to 16. And we'll attack again. 5. So that is greater than the bandit's points. So we have defeated the bandit because they've only got 1 point of damage. So they'll definitely be killed by our sword. And we are gaining 4 points for the bear and 3 points for the bandit. So that takes us up to 16, which means we have leveled up. So we're going to roll d6 and get a bonus for leveling up. 1 plus 1 to attack. That's pretty sweet. No complaints for that. Alright, and then we're going to carry on. Alright, let's see where we're going. 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 down here. Interestingly, we haven't sort of doubled back too much yet. I'm not sure what happens if you end up back in the same locations. doesn't really say. I think some kind of wandering monster mechanic might be nice, so that there's a risk of coming across an enemy if you go back into a location. The thing about the hex direction is that we have no control whatsoever over where we're going. So where we're heading to is completely randomized. And I think in Dark Fort at least you can say, oh, I'm going to go through that door, or I'm going to go through that door, or I'm going to double back and head back to that door I didn't try earlier. But this feels very random, and I'm not sure why it would be. Like, I feel like if I was in the Dark Forest, I could at least decide which way I was going to go. I think it would have been better to have this hex exit direction be just for if you were lost. Otherwise you could choose which way you're going. Not that it really matters too much beyond whether you've been to the hex or not, or the destination hex, whether you've been there or not, because it's all just sort of a blank slate, really. I wonder whether it would have been nice to have a couple of key locations, or maybe, you know, increasingly getting to the point where you were reaching a specific location in the forest. I mean, all this really, of course, adds mechanical complexity to a game that is very clearly determined to follow that Dark Fort structure and have as little complexity as possible. Anyway, we've gone into a new location. Let's find out what it is. 8. Deep Forest. So some more Deep Forest. And what encounter are we having? 4. A weak monster. Let's do this. 6. So that's 2 weak monsters again. So we've got a 5 and we've got a 1. So a wolf and a spider swarm. So I might note these down over here again. So the wolf has got D6 HP, 6, and the spider swarm has got D6 minus 1 HP, 2. Okay, we're going to fight the wolf first. 4 plus 1 is 5, and the wolf has got 3 points, so we have comfortably hit the wolf. We do D6 damage, and we're doing 3, taking the wolf down to 3. Then we're going to fight the spider swarm. 4 plus 1 is 5, so that's enough to hit the spider swarm. And we're doing plenty of damage, so the spider swarm is defeated. Back to the wolf. 1, that is a fail, so we're taking D6 damage. 5, eesh, that's quite a lot, isn't it? Taking us down to 11 HP. Try again. 4 plus 1 is 5, so that's enough to hit the wolf, and we are going to do 6 points of damage, which is enough to kill the wolf. So we are getting 3 points plus 3 points, so 6, takes me up to 21. Alright, so we've got our points and we can carry on. Alright, I think you get the idea with this game. I'm not going to do any more, I don't think. There you go. I think that'll give you a good sense of whether it's the sort of game for you. It's a nice little companion game for Dark Fort. I like how close they are stylistically to each other, or how close Dark Forest is to Dark Fort stylistically, and you've even got the same sort of setup with the illustration there. You've got the hero, and then we've got some kind of little goblin-y creature instead of the skeleton, and then we've got a puma or some kind of big cat instead of the dragon. So a nice little symmetry there with the illustration. That's kind of cool. And if you play it long enough, I guess eventually you will find in the Dark Forest either a cursed barrow by rolling 2 or a ruined keep by rolling 12 on the hex terrain table, and then you get to integrate Dark Fort into your Dark Forest game. So that's kind of cool, I think. It's kind of expanding that Dark Fort universe and keeping the game very simple, but adding a little bit more variety and a bit of overland exploration. Hope you enjoyed that, folks. Let me know if that's one that looks intriguing. But that is Dark Forest. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.